For that kind introduction. I'm really super excited to be here today and super proud of the organizers here for organizing this event. And I can tell you, how much I've been looking forward to being here and having a conversation with all of you. So Andy has me down for two topics. I think one is the technology predictions report, which the Computer Society has put together. So that's one. And I think the other one is the role of the Computer Society. And so, if I may, I would like to, first have a chat with you. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, probably hold it. I'll probably have a chat with you first, selfishly because I'm here and I love talking to the student members. I love engaging with you and hearing your views and your input. So wanted to start out with a conversation regarding the role of the Computer Society. And then I promise I will walk through the slides as well, which talk about the technology predictions report that the Computer Society has published. First, wanted to talk to you, our student members, who are our energy source, our future, and the membership that we would like to invest in. And I get very few opportunities to be here in person, with our chapter members and our students. So I'd like to have a little bit of an interactive discussion with you, if that's okay, Andy and others. Great. Let's start off by a show of hands. So how many of you here are Computer Society members? Amazing, that's awesome. Yeah, really, really encouraging to see that. And thank you for being here today. Thank you for organizing this, and thank you for the participation. This is wonderful. I'd like to see this grow, and I'd like to see more interaction, more engagement in the future. But I'd also like to see how we, in the Computer Society, can provide value to each of you, right? So you see that value as a student member, you see that value continuing as you become, an early career professional, joining a company, and then moving on from there into membership through the years as an experienced member or a senior member. And so what I wanted to chat with you today about was what you see as the value proposition of the Computer Society, and how you see that benefiting you today, and what you'd like to see going forward, so that we can work to make sure that we tailor our portfolio, our activities, our initiatives geared around you. You are our future, right? And so we'd like to invest in you. We are seeing today there's a little bit of a dip, going from student members to early career professionals, and sometimes people either they neglect to renew their membership, or they get busy with their first jobs. But I see a lot of activities in the Computer Society that can help you grow as a professional engineer, and they can help you develop your skills, to your future role to your future career. We talked about a little bit about it in the previous talk, which was really great, and there were some questions about, what is the future of the workforce going to look like? What is that future engineer going to look like? What is going to be their roles? And what skills do I need to develop today to equip me for that future engineering role? What that's going to look like. So I'd like to open it up to you, to ask me questions or to share your views or your thoughts about what do you see the Computer Society as? What is your perception of the Computer Society? And what is your value? What do you think is the value proposition to you, right? And how do you see that Computer Society benefiting you as you think you can do? So, anyone would like to share your views? Please.
I happened to attend the IEEE Southeast in Orlando earlier this year, and that was my first detailed interaction with members of IEEE. We had paper presentations and talks from different panels and things. Something that made me realize as a student who was probably going to start an early career soon was the fact that IEEE is a sort of technical community you can stick along with for the rest of your career. You find a lot of social communities, cultural communities around what you do at work or outside, but very rarely you see technical communities as a student, at least in a professional world. And that's something that's stuck with me and probably something I'll carry on with me as I move on to my career.
Great, thank you so much for sharing that, and I couldn't agree more. I see that I have very similar perception as you do. I see the Computer Society, and again, I'm trying to draw an analogy with the previous talk, as we talked about the DNNs and the DPOs, and we are asking you to navigate your career and grow in different roles, so have access to the networking there, but also to probably plan a pivot in your career. Say you find something interesting in another industry or in another application that you'd like to tailor your career towards, and you can leverage the opportunities and the connections that you build here in the Computer Society to do that. So I couldn't agree more. As a student, we stay students for life. So I try to learn something new every day, every single day. I graduated 25 years ago, over 25 years ago. But as part of your role in your day job, you will continue to learn and grow every single day and learn something new. And you learn something new as part of your job in your company, but you want to grow more than that. You want to learn more outside of that, right? And that's where you have access to this unique, community that gives you access to a lot of knowledge, a lot of connections, a lot of ways in which you can grow yourself and continue to learn, continue to be a student for the rest of your life. So that's how I see it. But others, anyone else want to share your thoughts around what value computer science?
I see, at least at my university, Florida Poly, that oftentimes, STEM in general compared to that students in particular compared to your humanities are often more insular or more closed off, and so having this network of industry professionals, researchers can always help your career or just learning. I mean, I've already learned from the first presentation a lot about large language models, and there's a lot of people here that we can connect with and learn from.
Great, that's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that. So I think continuing to do these kind of webinars or presentations and events where there's knowledge sharing or dissemination of knowledge and technology, that's a great benefit. Is there something else that you think that the Computer Society can provide or do differently that would help you, grow your engagement? Or is there something that that is lacking today that we could do differently? Perhaps. Yes.
Is there any plans about cybersecurity?
Yeah, so there's different initiatives around different technologies, including cybersecurity, right? So the way the Computer Society is structured is we have the chapter activities, such as this one, right? Where you can have different kinds of events, webinars, different kind of maybe certification programs, mentoring, those kind of events. Then we have conferences, and there are certain conferences that focus on cybersecurity or dependability as a whole. So you can register and attend those or participate in those or submit a paper. Then there's standards, right? So there's standardization work that is happening in the Computer Society as well under, say, the Functional Safety Standards Committee, which includes dependable technologies like cybersecurity. There's study groups there that discuss various topics. There's publications, right? So there's different magazines and journals, and that's one of the biggest offerings in the Computer Society is making that information accessible. So cybersecurity is one of our key areas, as it's continuing to grow. So So yes, so we try to, and the Computer Society is the biggest society within IEEE, and so we try to cover that spectrum of emerging technologies, right, and AI, cybersecurity, functional safety are some examples of those that I'll talk about. You know, the list that was put together by the authors of this report. But then, you know, by also bridging the gap between academia and industry and government, you know, we try to pull all those perspectives together, and we try to, you know, look at cybersecurity not just from an academic standpoint, but also how it would link to real applications, and you know, in across the industries. You know, that would be the industry perspective. So there's various, as you'll see here in the authors as well, we tried to pull together all of those diverse groups, bridging all of these different or different industries, as well as different academic institutions, as well as different geos, and then also diversity across ages as well, so some student members as well as some of the more experienced. So yes, I think long story short, cybersecurity is definitely part of the technology portfolio that the Computer Society supports, and you know, supports innovation in.
First of all, I want to preface that I'm like a freshman. Joined, I believe, like probably 2 weeks ago.
Great.
But
Great.
one of the really big attractive, what do you call it, events and aspects of IEEE is, since you guys are obviously a worldwide organization, the potential collaboration with like members all over the world and like members from completely different fields, and like sponsored events and just like projects and research sounds really, really intriguing. So I know that you were asking like in what ways you can improve. I think in that aspect, that's like a bottomless pit that you can, I mean, always sponsoring and always creating new projects that involve like different chapters from different parts of the world collaborating together. I think there's always room for improvement in that aspect, and people always want to collaborate with each other.
Sure. No, that's great input. Thank you for sharing that. I was just telling Andy when we were driving here in the car that we were planning a chapter event next year to invite the chapter chairs from across, you know, all of the geos for this kind of cross-pollination, so to speak, for information sharing. But I think your point is a very great one, because I think beyond just the chapter chairs, to also involve the membership across those geos would be valuable. So thank you for that. Yes.
I am Samir. I am the vice president of the USF organization
Great.
chapter. First of all, thank you for being here. We would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
To your initial point of how the Computer Society can help us grow and assist us better, I know this is a very sensitive topic, but funding is always better to have more funding, and a lot of the involvement that the Computer Society has here, the club itself, is on making events for students, providing mentorship to students. We do technical events that require computer hardware, resources, things like that, and things that complement the learning that they are doing in their classes, so that they can apply it in a hands-on way. So you are the president, of course. You don't have a direct connection with the money department, but more funding is always appreciated.
Sure, and thank you so much for being open about that and for sharing that. You know, we will definitely, I'll definitely convey that to our MGA committee and, you know, our MGA VP. We also have the staff representative or staff support from MGA. And if there is a lack of funding, you know, we can try to see what we can do to address that, but for sure, I think we try to, today what we're trying to do is to also send out a call for proposals every year where we fund innovative ideas that are submitted, across the geos. And I think that call for proposals goes out early in the year, so anyone can apply for funding, based on, the description of their proposal, what is the initiative they're trying to drive, etc. And then we select those top proposals, and then, we do fund those. So that's separate from the MGA funding, which is for the chapters, but for sure that's some feedback that I can take back to the MGA as well and see how they can address that as well. Thank you. Yes?
Yes, I'm Ray D'Souza, I'm a retired engineer. And I'll just share that I found that the webinars, virtual, things that you all do, have been very helpful.
Thank you.
Two suggestions. One is, I was not aware of the wealth of information and all that stuff that was done at the beginning until after I retired. Now, it's a reflection of my laziness, quite honestly. But I would tell you that one of the issues that engineers have is the workload. I heard that in the seminar yesterday. I thought I was the only one, but it's workload. So I would suggest that lunch and learns, webinars, would be an opportunity for folks who are in industry to plug in. And then secondly, it seems to me that you have to be comfortable. I would be an active member for, I don't know, 30-something years, I don't know. But anyway, I get this information because I'm an insider. I get emails and solicitations all the time, and I don't know how these people know this stuff about me. But they do. I'm thinking I should know the engineers in the power industry, whatever industry. And whether you're an active member or not, you'll be getting that information and saying, hey, listen, I'm getting this stuff for you. Whether, because the engineers that say, eat lunch and look at it, it's just that we don't know. And the times that are being offered now, we have meetings.
Absolutely. No,
So
you're,
that's two suggestions.
yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing those. I think those are all both very valid. I can completely relate to being stretched for time, and often we don't make time for the things that are important, so to prioritize this. But for sure, I think the lunch and learn or lunch webinar is a great idea. So thank you for sharing that suggestion. Anyone else would like to, is there an early career professional in this room? Anyone who just graduated and is joining a company wants to share their thoughts? How about anyone who's a professional? Anyone who's not a student but is, working as a computer society member? Is there?
And I'll still point at me like I'm a professional.
Sorry?
I'm a professional in IEEE. I mean, actually, I was in IEEE, then I went away, and I just come back recently. So I'm happy to be a part and actually get back. So this is a great opportunity to connect with students and connect with my peers in the industry. So I'm looking forward to future interactions.
Great, thank you for sharing that.
Maybe I will share.
Yeah.
I started off like I work and I've been part of the IEEE for the last 1 year, and I joined Computer Society a year back. What I have found out is that one, definitely, like I think everybody here agreed that it gives you a good opportunity to interact with other professionals in your domain or in your section. The other thing that I find very advantageous or beneficial is the journals that IEEE publishes. And I think it helps to a large extent to bridge the gap between industry and academia, because out of my experience, there are a lot of research that we do as part of our regular day-to-day work. And sometimes you don't necessarily have a platform to share what you might be researching on a certain topic. And I think the IEEE journals, the peer reviews, they kind broader audience. So I think it's a great platform of also knowledge sharing from that perspective. So I think I would encourage, students here, if they are doing research, they're wanting to get into, if you are in a project where you are innovating, you are creating something new, I think IEEE provides an excellent platform to share your innovation, write articles, some of the examples that we saw in the previous talk also of the research papers.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that perspective. Really appreciate it. Anyone else wants to share their thoughts? Yes, please.
So, sort of building on some of the comments already, and I know what one thing that I believe you're looking for is when you take over the reins, so to speak, what can the Computer Society do better? One thing I'm hearing is whatever you can do to lower the barrier of entry for collaboration. And there's so much information available, yes, but sometimes it's a lot of work to go find it. So if the Computer Society, especially with our students and our young professionals, can be more proactive in pointing to those things, whether it's research projects going on at other schools that students at this school might be interested in and can reach out. That's where the collaboration with Peru, for example, and USF, that sort of connection, those sorts of collaborative projects really are valuable. But, are there ways the Computer Society through proactive communications or through the journal or the magazine, the website, etc., anything that can be done to sort of encourage and enable that sort of information to be more easily accessible, I think would be very, very valuable.
Great input. Yeah, that's really, really great. And very valid as well. I'll certainly take that feedback back and see what we can do to make that easier to navigate and easier access. Bridging the gap between industry and academia is one of our strategic focus areas, and we really want to encourage or be able to facilitate more of that cross-collaboration. And I think it's really needed to solve some of the big problems that we are facing today in technology. Even in my day job, there are certain topics that we are working on today in the industry where we absolutely need help from academia, and their research and their inputs in order to solve those problems collectively. So, whether it's the standardization committees, or whether it's just research areas, or whether it's publications, conferences, panel discussions, it's that collective work and that teamwork between these various entities that is helping us to really address and solve some of these big challenges that we're seeing. So we really want to grow that collaboration and see how best we can, work on that together. So thank you for sharing that very valuable feedback. I truly appreciate it. And with that, I'll walk through the slides today. And we can also do a short Q&A at the end if we have time. So this technology predictions report was put together earlier this year. It's also available on the Computer Society website. So if you go into our website and just do a search for Technology Predictions Report, you can download it for free, and you can have access to it. So you don't, you can look at it even after the presentation today. Some of you may have already downloaded this, but the way this came into being was, we were just coming out of the pandemic, right? And as we all know, the pandemic had a huge impact on various aspects of our lives, right? Our human life, supply chain, future of work, unpredictability of operations, as well as markets. And as a result of that, in order to address that, there were a lot of countermeasures that were taken, such as cutting costs, repurposing assets, eliminating middlemen, and then shifting to as-a-service models. This report was written just coming out of the pandemic, and this is why I'm highlighting some of these points, because the pandemic created stress in our daily lives and our values. Social distancing had limited opportunities for social interaction. We, moved into more of a virtual mode in terms of virtual classrooms. AI was interested in assisting with some of the, the low-level tasks. And by the way, even, to address the question that came up previously, is AI going to take over? I truly believe that AI will take over only some of the low-level activities and low-level tasks, but will then empower us to take on more of the difficult problems. And so, humans will always be in charge, but we'll have more time now to address some of those bigger challenges. Acceleration of the digital transformation was forced upon work, education, private life, and we know that technologies play an increasingly crucial role. So, I think long story short, if we weren't where we are today, it would have been really, really difficult for us to address the situation with the pandemic and to be able to even survive and thrive, beyond that. So I think that we all understand how important it is to leverage technology to face any kind of issue, and how we can grow those technologies in the future, not only to help industry, but also to help humanity is very critical to us. So from that standpoint, we have this team that came together, and so these are all of the authors of the Technology Predictions Report. So as you can see, it's a large group of very accomplished professors, engineers, folks across in government, and they all came together from various different geos, various different parts of the world, and put their heads together to identify what are some of these key technologies that are emerging, that are on the horizon, and that we should be investing in moving forward. So this is basically the team that authored the report. Okay, so continuing improvements beyond future years. So the team came together, and each of them contributed certain ideas and certain technologies that they thought were, critical, that would be the ones that we need to invest in terms of, adoption in the market, in terms of value to humanity. So there was an initial list of about 30 technologies that were voted on, but then all of those technologies, the list of technologies were merged, and then there was a grading that was done to rank these. And so there was a scale that was used from A to F to grade these technologies based on various criteria. The criteria was predicted technology success in 2023. So this year, what is the prediction that this technology, will be successful, will be mature enough to make an impact? Potential for impact to humanity, right? Predicted maturity in 2023, predicted market adoption in 2023. So using those criteria, there was a grading that was done for each of the technologies that were identified, each of those 30 technologies. Those were down selected to 20, and then finally we came down to a list of 19. And I'll share that list of 19 technologies in a second here, but I just wanted to share some background on how those 19 technologies came into being. So it was kind of this collective brainstorming and inputs that came, from all of these different individuals, and then using this systematic approach of creating the list was selected. Okay, so with that, it brings us to the list. So here is that list of 90 technologies that is ranked in order of importance based on those criteria that we just saw on the previous slide. So the criteria and then the grading. And so you can see in parentheses for each of these technologies, there's a grade, you know, an A, B, C, or a B plus or C plus, based on those criteria. So the top of the list, and no surprise, was remote healthcare and wearables, right? And I'll also share this on the next chart. But this was, you know, remote health, and coming out of the pandemic, this was a big one, right? So this was one where we saw that the need to provide remote healthcare, the need for advancement in technology for wearables to enable patients to obtain remote medical assistance. Augmented reality is another big one, you know, with the AR, VR, and also with the metaverse advancements that are happening. Software for edge to cloud, open hardware, AI, of course, in every possible way, but AI-assisted DevOps, 3D printing in healthcare, generative AI, IT for sustainability, autonomous driving, and so on. So I won't read through the whole list, and by the way, there's a lot of material in here for each one of these technologies that talks about the problem statement, what is the work that is happening in terms of the research, and what are the next steps. So, you know, we can also jump into those slides if there are questions, but this was that list of 19 technology predictions that were made for 2023 in order of importance. So now, let's look at some of the bucketing that was done. So here you see a bucketed list, and so they are bucketed by the core technologies. So what you see here at the bottom, open hardware, IT for sustainability, space, ITC, and software for edge to cloud. Then to answer the question that came up here before, what are we doing for cybersecurity? So for security, we had a couple, the trusted computing and the disinformation detection correction. AI, of course, is now the backbone of a lot of these technologies, right, that are powered by AI. And so we had artificial general intelligence, generative AI, and then graph neural networks, productivity tools, and then the industry verticals, which included financial, manufacturing, healthcare, and robotics. So these are kind of the buckets of the clustering that we did for the technologies to identify the sectors, so to speak, that would be relevant. And then we plotted these in this chart, and we call this the tomato chart. And just because, you know, you see the different colors of the tomatoes, you know, based on the maturity of the technology. And so you have the bright red tomato there, which is the healthcare and the remote healthcare and wearables, which was at the top of our list. So that is the number one technology there. But the reason it's there on the top right is because if you look at the scales, so on the y-axis there you have the impact to humanity, and the x-axis is the success of the technology development in 2023. And so with that particular technology, the remote healthcare and wearables, we see that high impact to humanity as well as high success of development. And so we do have a lot of companies, a lot of research, a lot of folks in academia that are working on that. And just coming out of the pandemic, that is one that, you know, we see a huge impact for work in that area. And then we have the yellow tomatoes, right, which are kind of the semi-ripe tomatoes. There in the center, you see, you know, the IT for sustainability, autonomous driving, generative AI, augmented reality, etc., kind of sitting in that space where, you know, we see some impact to humanity, and we also see some success, but, you know, not the complete maturity where it would, you know, make full impact this year. So it's a little bit further out in the roadmap. And then we have the green tomatoes. Those are the ones, you know, which are still kind of in the infancy or incubation, and, you know, they need some more time to grow and develop. And so those are the ones that are called out here in terms of like the space ITC, all the autonomous robots, the artificial general intelligence, and then you have sustainable space manufacturing, which is kind of the great tomato there. But that was one way in which we looked at these technologies. And so this one just calls out, as I mentioned, going from gray to red, very early in terms of the technology development and maturity, going all the way to mature, fully ready to hit the ground running, broad adoption. So that was kind of going from zero chance of success, lowest impact to humanity, to the greatest impact and the highest success rate. All right, so then we did some more bucketing here, and as you can see there in the circles, bucketed the ones which have the chance for technological success higher than the impact of humanity, and those were like the software for edge to cloud, augmented reality, open hardware. Then in the middle is the ones which have a chance of success that correlates impact to humanity, and in the green circle there on the top left are the ones which have impact to humanity higher than the chance for success. So that was another way. So we were just kind of slicing and dicing this in different ways to understand, how we could use this information now that we have this list of all of these great technologies prioritized. How do we then tailor our initiatives so that we can leverage the work that is happening in these technologies to specific industries or to specific success metrics, such as, the advancement for human life, or for specific work in the applications across industries. Maybe it's work in standardization happening there in that lower corner, because that's something, incubation like 5 years out. Or maybe it's directly supporting work that's happening, at a fast, rapid pace in industry on that top right. Okay, so here's, I think this was just another chart with that same scale and the grading. So here's the detailed grading as we looked at from A through F. And so here you can look at the score and the rank that each of these technologies received in terms of those 5 different areas. Success, in this year, impact humanity, maturity, market adoption, and horizon to commercial adoption. Now I have to say that in IEEE we have this group, it's called the IEEE Future Directions. So I don't know if anyone here is aware of that. But Future Directions is kind of this committee within IEEE that works on incubation technologies, that does research in those areas, that does supports or funds some of the activities in that area across government, industry, and academia. And so this report and this scoring was provided to that Future Directions Committee so that they can tailor their activities based on this ranking, and they can focus on the key ones. So the Computer Society also has direct linkage with the Future Directions, and we work in close collaboration with them, and we support their work. Future Directions also does a lot of activities in the community. Right now they're working actively on the Metaverse project, and so there's a lot of webinars, tutorials that they are presenting on Metaverse. We're also presenting next month at ITC on that topic. But I just wanted to mention that besides the Computer Society, or within the IEEE, there's a lot of cross-collaboration to help to support innovation in these technology areas. Okay, so then here's kind of the average scores and the standard deviation. So there was a lot of different ways in which we looked at the data. Okay. And we looked at the ones with the largest and the least confidence. I'm going to skip these. Okay. So here's what I was referring to. So, we saw the scale, we had the y-axis and the x-axis with the impact of humanity and the success in 2023. Here's the opportunity. So if you overlay that tomato chart on top of this chart, you can now correlate which of those technologies are an opportunity for academia, which of those technologies are an opportunity for government, for industry, or for professional organizations. And so for some of you student members here, if you look at those technologies where it says opportunity for academia, perhaps you can leverage that for, how you can help research. Or if any of those are of interest to you, how you can participate in research projects in any of those technologies, which would be impactful, right, for the community as a whole, and for the other members of the community in industry specifically. Okay, so this again talks about that same bucketing, and in terms of also funding with the regulation for government, standards work, and the various institutions. Okay, so I think I'm going to skip some of this slides, and we'll talk about, yes, the key takeaways. So, our main takeaway out of this deck is that technologies will continue to be critical in addressing and preventing pandemics, wars, and natural disasters. We've made 19 predictions in 4 areas, and those 4 areas are core technologies, security, AI, and productivity tools. And there's 4 main industry verticals, that's healthcare, robotics, manufacturing, and financial. We graded the technologies based on likelihood of success in 2023, as well as impact to humanity. And the predicted technologies show a degree of correlation that can be applied directly to various communities within the computer society, such as academia, such as industry, such as government, such as professionals. So it provides them with guidance on what the focus areas, where the focus is needed for each one of these groups, such that we can work collectively and make a difference. We're continuing to eliminate bias as demonstrated by the correlation and the standard deviation. We are exploring collaboration with market analysts. So, we will try to publish another report next year in 2024, and, just to see how this trend changed and, what that shift looks like now, looking at these 19 technologies and then looking at the ones in next year. And then in the future, we plan to devise recommendations to industry as a function of our prediction. So this is another challenge for us in the Computer Society is today, we do have a lot of membership in academia, but we have less membership in industry, and we are trying to solve that problem. So just as we talked about earlier, we have some membership that we lose, going from student members to early career members, early career professionals. The other gap is in terms of engagement and representation from industry. So this was one way in which we thought we could provide value to industry in sharing this report, so that industry can then reach out to members, in academic institutions such as yourself, to government institutions, and work collaboratively on some of these projects to grow these technologies. And I think that's really important, to solve the problems. For example, there's a key challenge that I'm working on currently, and that's in the area of reliability and silent data corruption, which is a problem for data centers, and it's a problem for automotive. It's a problem that requires research. Requires research and empirical data collection in the field, from stress tests. It requires modeling and simulations. Requires probably using digital twins. And so this is one where the entire community needs to come together to address this kind of problem, and it's not something that one company can take on and solve on their own. So it's really important, and as also was mentioned earlier, that we collaborate across these boundaries and work together to solve these big industry challenges. At the end of the year, we will prepare a scorecard on how technology succeeded against our predictions, and then we will also publish that on the Computer Society page. So then you can look at that scorecard, which will be an update to our initial scoring and grading that we did when we presented this work initially. So that was the last of this slide, but then, as I mentioned, we do have in the back, we have a detailed slide for each one of these technologies with information on what is a specific problem statement, what are the opportunities for research or work in that specific area, what is the impact that can be made with research and innovation with that technology, sustainable solutions and business opportunities. So there's a slide on each one of these in this deck for more information, and I'm happy to, I think, send the slides to Andy, and so he can go ahead and share it with the participants here today. But as I mentioned, you can also access this on the Computer Society page, and you can download this for free as well, so you have access to the material. But with that, I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions that I can take.